Buenos días de nuevo a todos los asistentes a nuestras 20.
Good morning once again to everyone attending our 24th International Meeting of MAPFRE Global Risks, and we're going to close the meeting, and I'm going to introduce the other people on the panel. I would first like to greet and thank the Mayor of Bilbao for his presence, Mr. Ibon Adeso. Thank you very much, Mayor.
A continuación, contamos con la presencia.
And then after that, we have with us the chairman of MAPFRE, Mr. Antonio Huertas.
Y don Alfredo Castelo.
And Mr. Alfredo Castelo, who's the CEO. And finally, the territorial general manager, Mr. Ramon Costilla, who's in charge of the northern part of Spain. But before moving on to reading out the conclusions of this seminar, I would like to publicly thank you for your support and for your wonderful work over these 2 days. Many thanks to the organizing committee, starting off with the MAPFRE protocol team with María Jesús and Olga Dieguez, and the marketing team with Marta del Palacio, Sonsoles de Llano, and Raquel López Ocal. Esther Palacio as the person responsible for the firemen's competition. And many thanks to the people from the School of Protocol of Madrid, Sara Morgado and Paloma Costales. Many thanks to all of the people that have assisted us, Carlson, MPPA and MPPA Experiencias. And in particular, many thanks to my secretary, Paloma Chacon, for her unconditional assistance. So I would like to ask for a round of applause for all of these people I just mentioned.
A continuación, voy a proceder.
And now I'm going to read out the conclusions of this conference. And I'm going to start off with the insurance section. And the first panel discussion, as you remember, had to do with, in Mexico, the energy reform, as well as the recent infrastructure program, will have a very big impact on the economy of the country in terms of hydrocarbons, as well as in the field of construction. So therefore, there would be a very strong repercussion for the Mexican insurance market. And then in Latin South, in the emergent country of Colombia, Peru, and Chile, these markets will present a very high potential for growth, both because of their size, legal stability, and economic growth. And all of this under the commercial treaties that have been signed in the area, and the deficit of infrastructures required to develop major geographic zones represents a very clear investment opportunity. And the industry offers opportunities in order to attract exporters, suppliers, and in this, the insurance market should adapt its capabilities and its know-how. And as regards the panel discussion on Brazil, well, we've seen that there's a very big potential attached to Brazil, because right now it is the 7th international economic power, and that is the reality. But in part of regardless of the significant challenges, Brazil offers excellent opportunities for the insurance sector over the next few years because of the development process it is currently carrying out. As regards the presentation from Campofrío, at previous conferences we saw how important it is for a company to have a business continuity plan. An excellent example, and which is confirmed, has been the testimony from Campofrío, and how its continuity plan has provided them with an optimum management line to withstand the tremendous impact at La Burela by the accident or the fire at La Burela. As regards the London market, the question is London still the international leader of the insurance market? And our conclusion is that London is reacting very quickly to maintain its position of leadership in this global scenario, which is undergoing a permanent evolution. And the London market offers major opportunities, and especially in special lines where this specialization is critical. As regards the Spanish market and its economic recovery now, well, at previous conferences, it was concluded that during the financial crisis, the insurance business had a much better behavior than the rest of the sectors. But now this has been fully confirmed. So this should serve as a solid platform for growth to support the positive evolution of the Spanish economy, that is that internal and external stakeholders are now forecasting, and the sector agrees that suitable risk management that involves all the participants of the sector, customers, brokers, insurers, and reinsurers, lawyers, and appraisers. This is an essential tool to make an efficient use of the change in economic trend that is currently taking place. As regards the conclusions on the safety seminar, the safety paradigm is changing because of the more systemic and global nature of some of the new risks, and like cyber risks. So governments, companies, insurance firms, and all the other people involved in management actions have to develop their evaluation and prevention systems so that they can deal with this challenge in a successful manner. And the study of the accessibility of turbines has made it possible to obtain more knowledge on the different causes and technical factors that produce frequent accidents because of the types of turbines used and generation techniques. And the electrical generation market now has to deal with new challenges, basically related to things like financial and regulatory uncertainties. And the outcome is that new technologies are being developed together with solutions that would have taken a longer time to emerge, and which represent significant challenges in the field of prevention. As regards catastrophic risks, the quality of the information we have plays an essential role to establish a perfect estimate of losses obtained through the use of models. And these catastrophic models are a mandatory reference to take decisions. And finally, the sandwich panels, made of plastic material, have been involved in lots of fire events with lots of losses. And so we must consider their replacement. Well, what we have to do is adequately select those materials that can prevent damages from occurring. And we have to scrupulously bear in mind the conditions laid down by the manufacturers. And it's essential to implement preventing actions to avoid any kind of ignition. Thank you all very much for your comments and your contributions. And now I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Antonio Huertas, who's the chairman of MAPFRE. Thank you very much, Alfredo. And good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Mayor, Your Excellency, thank you all very much for coming here today. Members on the advisory board of MAPFRE and Global Reach, and the new chairman, Alfonso Revuelta, members of the board of directors, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here at this 24th edition of the International Seminar hosted by MAPFRE Global Risks, which, as you've already seen, this has become a classic. It's become an international reference for all of the professionals that are working in the field of insurance and for all of those people that perform integral risk management. MAPFRE has been doing this very important activity, or has been holding this forum since the year 1970. And it's an honor being able to hold this event in such an emblematic city like Bilbao. And I will refer to it at the end because it hasn't lost its essence, and it's known how to adapt to changes, and it's got ready to deal with a completely different world, and it's projected a wonderful image of development and modernity. But here we have people from 20 countries, experts in risk management, in law, brokers, reinsurers, in other words, all of the professionals that are connected to the insurance business, and everybody has presented their experience and expertise. Everybody has been able to participate in the panels and the networking forums to get to know what other people in other activities are doing in terms of major risks. So thanks to all of you, we've been able to look into the challenges and opportunities that the insurance business is facing, and not only MAPFRE, in such important countries like Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, or Chile. But above all, and as Alfredo Aran just said, we've also been able to look into the London market because of the outstanding protagonism that the insurance activity has in terms of major global risks. And we've also looked into the Spanish market, not only from the point of view of the insurance business, but also from the point of view of economic development. But fortunately, the situation was completely different 2 years ago when we spoke about this in Seville, and the outlook was very bleak. But now, thanks to everybody's efforts, Spain is a country that is looking towards the future, feeling much more confident, which is growing in a sustained manner, that is creating jobs and is exporting lots of goods thanks to the efforts made by our company people, but also thanks to the support that is given by major Spanish companies, many of which are represented by you here today. So for these 2 days, the executives from these companies have shared their experiences and the challenges they're dealing with in each region. And we've been talking about what we have to do as an insurance business. We need to know the reality of the companies and the economic situation, and all of this is necessary to manage risks properly, as you know perfectly well. But we have extensive experience in the management of risks related to nature, like earthquakes and hurricanes. And unfortunately, we are seeing more and more of these phenomena. And recently, we had the terrible pain in the case of the people of Nepal with an earthquake that had very severe consequences. And from the point of view of management, we're talking about situations that all of you know perfectly well. And these are theoretical and predictive models that are becoming more and more sophisticated, and with insurance solutions that are more practical and more adapted to reality. But we are in a changing world, we are in a global world, and other risks emerge that have also been discussed at this forum, and which require a very significant debate. And I'm referring in particular to new risks, like those that are associated to new technologies or new businesses, or hacking and cyber technology, which have a much more significant importance in our society, which form part of the daily work of the professionals that manage risks and that work in the field of insurance management. But amongst the specific business experience that have been discussed here, we saw the magnificent presentation from Iberdrola, which is a company that has always been closely linked to the Basque Country. So you can see how this country has known how to transform itself and adapt to this reality and has become a major multinational. And the case of Campofrío, which is a paradigmatic example, a sad example, because of that severe fire accident that took place in the month of November and which destroyed the meat processing plant in Burgos. And now they've just submitted their business continuity plan, and it will mean that in 2016 they'll be able to get back to work. But the risk management that has been carried out by the company has allowed them to reinitiate their production in order to cope with the marketing difficulties, which without a doubt is the major challenge for a company like this. So I would like to congratulate you on this news, because it's very satisfactory for the company. It's also very satisfactory for the workers of the company, and it's equally satisfactory for the citizens of Burgos. And I know that Campofrío represents a very significant element, and I would also like to thank the insurance companies and all of you professionals that have been involved in this accident. Thanks for your work and for your relevant role in giving support to the continuity of the economic activity of this company. But when accidents of this kind occur, that's when you should address the activity of the insurance company, and we need to be solid and have financial solvency. So, as was pointed out by Alfredo Castelo, In the presentation, Mapfre Global Risks is a company operating in 27 countries, and we have a risk management capability that covers different areas, which allows us to respond on an individualized basis for each company. We are the leader of corporate insurance in Spain and also one of the leaders in Latin America. But one of our targets is not to limit ourselves to this continent. We want to grow, and we want to become one of the global leaders in terms of major risk insurance. And we've also put our stakes on Europe. One of the objectives of Mapfre Global Risks is to strengthen our branch in London, and we want it to become the center for business development, and global risks should also extend its activities into other parts of the world where there's a high potential, like North America or Asia, where our presence is very small. But we also want to assist multinationals in their expansion, and we want to be their partners. We have the capability and expertise accumulated all of these years to do things properly, and the expansion of Mapfre Global Risks is an important thing. It has to strengthen itself in these markets as a leader, and it's also a very significant component to implement Mapfre's global strategy so that we can achieve our vision, so that we can become the trustworthy global insurance company for people and companies in any country. And in Mapfre, we are developing initiatives that will transform companies so that we can fulfill these objectives. In Mapfre, we are operating in 49 countries with our own offices and staff, and we have direct customers in more than 100 countries. But we want to diversify. We want to increase our globality by increasing our presence in those countries or regions where we are not that present. And in recent years, we've implemented a new organizational structure that is based on a regional decentralized organization with offices in Spain, the United States, Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and Shanghai, which will allow us to be much more global and much more harmonic in the way we deal with our growth and development. And we will control the risks that we are taking on board right now much better with a very powerful corporate organization that it's at the service of all the businesses in the world. But apart from Spain and Latin America, which are our natural markets, the United States, Asia, and Europe are going to be references for the future of Mapfre. Spain accounts for 30% of Mapfre, Brazil 20%, and these are our main markets. The United States, 10%. Our presence has to continue and has to grow so that we can develop that internationalization that started more than 25 years ago. China and Indonesia will be laboratory markets for the next years for our company. But we do not only want to achieve growth, but we're also doing this based on the principle of profitability and social commitment towards the environment and towards our stakeholders. Apart from developing rigorous technical management, we want to increase our efficiency and productivity, and thanks to the development of shared services, standardization, automation of processes, and thanks to the synergies of the group, we are going to improve our ratios. And we are also carrying out a digital transformation that will allow Mapfre to adapt to new social realities and anticipate new business models with which we are trying to change things, and we'll do so on a voluntary basis, and we'll try to anticipate everybody else so that we can reach out to the customers much more directly, and of course using the support of the brokers. The customer segmentation is one of our main strategic initiatives, and we are looking into a multi-channel distribution model with innovative products and services. So as you can see, we have a business plan with ambitious targets, and we are fully convinced that we will be able to achieve these goals. But I would like to close by thanking the city of Bilbao, and we have the mayor here. Thanks for your hospitality and for making things so easy. This seminar in Bilbao is a sign of Mapfre's commitment towards development here. We are leaders in insurance here. We have 150 branches, 600 employees, and more than 4,000 direct collaborators, agents, brokers, service providers, etc. And I would like to thank the mayor of Bilbao for coming here today, but I think that it's worthwhile recognizing the company and those of us that are here. We have to recognize what the mayor of Bilbao has meant as a mayor and as a technical person, and who for the last 20-something years has been the person responsible for the design and then the execution of the transformation of the city of Bilbao, something that you've been able to see for yourselves over these days, apart from the weather, which obviously has not been the consequence of our work, but in any case, you've seen the transformation that the city has undergone, which is due to the team at the Bilbao Town Council, but fundamentally the mayor, who's been the main driving force for these last 20-something years. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for transforming Bilbao, and I hope that you've been able to enjoy the city, that you've been able to see how tradition and the avant-garde blend. I suppose that you've seen the enormous economic development and the wonderful entrepreneurial capacity. Thank you all for your commitment, for your attendance, for your participation, and for allowing us, for helping us in our daily work. Thank you all very much indeed.
Tiene la palabra el señor alcalde.
The mayor now has the floor. Good morning, everybody. Basically, I have to say just two things. Well, the first thing is I have to thank the chairman of MAPFRE, Mr. Antonio Huertas, for coming here to Bilbao, for having chosen the city of Bilbao to hold this very outstanding conference. And the second issue, of course, is, well, I have to welcome to my city, to the wonderful international MAPFRE family. And I also would like to welcome those wonderful companies that have assisted you during this meeting. You know that we had one of the most important iron ore sources of Europe, and it was in 1850 when the first blast furnaces were constructed and when we became an industrial city, in other words, based on heavy industry. And it was steel making, it was also shipbuilding, and it also had to do with capital goods. And we lived very well thanks to that. But towards the end of the 70s, and especially in the 80s, everything collapsed, everything just sank. And that produced a rate of unemployment of 25% in the metropolitan area. In a place like Sestao, it was 30% in unemployment. And at that point in time, our concern did not have to do with sustainability or the environment, but we had to see how we could recover jobs. And obviously, jobs, well, we knew that jobs were not going to be in the industrial sector, in the secondary sector, but rather in the tertiary sector. And we had to change the entire physical setup of that ugly and dirty city that was wealthy but wasn't a very pleasant place where to live in. It had to be transformed into a friendlier place. And we had to resort to the environment, and that wasn't one of our objectives. In order to be able to give room to these tertiary activities, which to be implemented required much more selective environments. And that was the main reason behind the transformation, behind the physical and urban transformation of Bilbao. And we've received lots of awards, lots of recognitions in that process. But you know that cities like you, like companies, cannot fall asleep. Because if you stop in a globalized world, you'll only go backwards. And at this point in time, with a different kind of crisis, more global, and something that has more to do with finances than with industry, we are now drawing up our second strategic plan, and whose main objective is focused on employment. In other words, if before we had an ugly and industrial city, we want to move on to a friendly city, and now we want to move on to a smart city. And here, this is where we're looking for the niches we can focus our economy on. And when I said that we had to move on to tertiary jobs, it doesn't mean that everybody before working in the industrial sector had to become waiters. And within these niches we are thinking about, we wanted to plant our feet firmly on the ground, and we also want to have a part of our GDP focused on the industry. So it's something like 25%, which is not the industry we had in the past. It's much more technological, it's much more modern, etc. And Bilbao, although well, we still have some of the industry. We want to bring one of the technology parks into the urban setting, but we want to put our stakes on those services for that industry. And in those services, we have the engineering firms, we have the architectural studios, we have the financial institutions, we have the world of insurance, which is your business in the audiovisual sector, the world of design. So therefore, a meeting like this one you're holding in Bilbao comes under one of the guidelines of our new strategic plan. So this is why you are especially welcome to my city. But what I hope and trust is that this conference has been fruitful, because you are here to study the future. And I've seen that you've reviewed what you think about the situation. And I trust that the economy will improve, that things will go wonderfully well for you. We want things to go wonderfully well for companies, because that means that employment will also evolve and improve. And jobs are provided by the private sector. And we have to try to create more jobs through private companies. So I hope that your seminar or your conference has been fruitful. But as the host city, or as the mayor of Bilbao, I would really like you. It would have been wonderful for you to have gone out and about. I'm not sure if you've been given the list, but it would have been wonderful if you would have been able to escape into the city to enjoy its promenades, its parks, its museums, and its people, and also the gastronomy, because you know that the food here is wonderful. If you've tried our hake or some squid. And anyway, I would like you to go back with a wonderful memory of Bilbao. So, well, both in wherever you go, so that you can become wonderful ambassadors of my city. Thank you very much.